couple weeks ago, Discord got hacked. Again, Discord gets hacked like all the time. So more specifically, a third-party vendor, quote-unquote, that handles Discord's customer support tickets, they got breached. And yeah, this is their official statement. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so an unauthorized party compromised one of Discord's third-party customer service providers, gained access to a limited number of users who had contacted Discord through customer support, trust and safety, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so the most important thing for you as an end user here is if you were impacted, you will receive an email from noreply@discord.com. We will not contact you via phone. Official communications are emails. So yeah, if just in case, keep an eye on your email. And yes, dude, we will get to this, but there is a point I need to make about it. So it's not quite what you think. But yes, they did force an update to TOS through pop-up for forced arbitration. This isn't even the first time they've done that, by the way. They've already done that multiple times. Yeah, so what data was involved? Here's the thing to be scared about, but you probably are not. Since I don't think anybody here is in the UK, it's probably not that big of a deal. The biggest deal here for most of you is going to be name, Discord username, email, and other contact details they provided to customer support, and limited billing information such as payment type. So that could be a bit of a problem. But I mean, a lot of this is just stuff that's already been breached and out in public for years anyway for most people. Just because of stuff like, if you remember the Equifax data breach, Equifax is a company that you don't even interact with, but they just scoop up all your data to build your quote-unquote credit score, that whole bullshit thing. And when they got breached, nearly everybody's information was stolen. So yeah, most of this is probably out there anyway. And then there's like, you know, IP addresses, messages with customer service agents, their corporate data. This is the one for the UK that might scare you if you happen to live there. The unauthorized party also gained access to a small number of government ID images. So think about that. And this is a danger coming from, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with PC Gamer of all people, but, or of all publications. But, so PC Gamer here. Let me pull this up here. So PC Gamer put out this article, and they are, honestly, they're spot on here. So one of the worst case scenarios for ID age verification is already here, with a Discord breach compromising user data. So yes, absolutely. This is by far one of the worst one of the best arguments against all this ID verification nonsense. Because as soon as you hand over this, you know, your ID data to any website or whatever it may be, that data is now out there for someone to breach. Because you know these companies don't spend that much time securing this stuff because it's not their data. It's yours, and so they don't care. Yeah, this breach right here, this breach comes only 6 months after Discord started requiring age verification in some regions. The UK's Online Safety Act made such age verification law in Britain, though users quickly found ways around it, and this is pretty funny, including using the photo mode in Death Stranding. And some US states have also passed these laws, although I don't think these affect Discord yet. So yeah, and again, makes it clear why people around the world are concerned and frustrated by these policies. And yeah, even beyond issues of censorship, which are serious issues, there are clear risks involved in giving scans and photos of sensitive data, like government IDs, to companies that might not have the security to protect that data. And here's the secret. That's practically all the companies. And don't forget, the government is involved too, and you know how terrible the government is at doing anything. So, let's see. Arbitration was supposed to make civil issues between companies easier to deal with. They're never meant to be used on the customers of the company. Yeah, that's true. And we will get to that. We will absolutely get to that. Oh god, what the hell? Sorry, I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I just saw this and I'm horrified. A 0-day flaw on popular... Oh, this is a couple of months ago, but... Jeez.
Please, please, somebody put me out of my misery. Have mercy on my soul.
So that's all I have to say about that tangent. Anyway, so, let's see. What is this world coming to? Agreeing with Redditors, PC Gamer. Next, Kotaku will make a good point. Well, you know, I think I did see a Kotaku article about, I forget which topic it was. I forget if it was this topic or something else. Oh, you know what? I think it was the piracy. The piracy one. Yeah, it was the Redditor. Kotaku and Polygon both had decent articles on the Redditor situation, believe it or not. Those hackers know exactly how those people tick now. Yeah, they know exactly how a lot of those people do a lot of things. And considering those things are used by Twitch Thoughts that have a secondary platform that they use, they probably know even more. So, yeah. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, so there are a couple more articles on the hack itself. Let's see. So let's see. I think some of these have a little more information on what's going on. And by the way, Discord's just been getting worse. Maybe, is it just me, or has Discord been getting significantly worse over the years? I hate Discord, I hate Reddit, and I hate what they've done to the open internet. I really, really miss the days where we had like decentralized internet forums where you could just search for anything and you'd find all sorts of information. Now everything is either on Reddit, where you have to deal with all the BS, and I got banned from Reddit years ago anyway. Or it's on Discord, where it's not even publicly searchable, so you can't even find anything anymore. It absolutely pisses me off. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, so there's a little more here. So the attack appears to be financially motivated, because the hackers demanded a ransom from Discord in exchange for not leaking the stolen information. Of course, I don't think Discord cares about your stolen information, so it'll probably be leaked at some point. Exposed data, yep. So we talked about the exposed data. Let's see. Yeah, VX Underground Security Group notes that the type of data stolen from Discord users represents, quote, literally people's entire identity. Okay, interesting. So somebody believes if the data leaks, this database is going to be huge for solving crypto-related hacks and scams, because scammers don't often remember using a burner email and VPN, and almost all of them are on Discord. Jeez. Let's see. So this group, Scattered Lapsus Hunters, claimed the attack, but they later stated it was a different group they know and interact with. Let's see. So it was a Zendesk breach. Interesting. So Zendesk, if you guys aren't familiar with Zendesk, they handle a lot of the support for a lot of these big companies. Let's look it up here. So a lot of times if you go to, for instance, the help pages for... Yeah, so it's this. So this seems to be what got breached, Zendesk. So if you go to the help page for a lot of these online services, you won't actually be on the service's own domain. So for instance, Discord, I think Discord is discord.com, right? Yeah, discord.com. So if you go to their help pages, support here, help center, a lot of times, okay, so in this case, it's fine. In this case, it is still on discord.com. A lot of times what you'll notice is you'll actually end up on something like, you know, website.zendesk.com or something like that. And that's because Zendesk is the company actually handling the support. And that's what they're saying is that... oh, interesting. And so Zendesk themselves are even saying, our investigation indicates this incident did not arise from a vulnerability within Zendesk's platform. So that is curious because... So it sounds like it's subcontractors all the way down. This is interesting. Last month, the hackers claimed to have stolen more than 1.5 billion Salesforce records from 760 companies. More recently, Shiny Hunters, which... okay, this is the one that stole some other Salesforce stuff. launched a data leak site listing more than 36 victims. So that's interesting. Yeah, a lot of times it's these weird subcontractors that they hand all this stuff off to. So when you give your data to one of these to one of these services, often it's not just the site that you're giving your data to. It is some subcontractor to a subcontractor. And, you know, there's a good chance that some guy in China is looking at your data and going, this person data, I like the data, it look like he rich person. I steal the data and then sell it to hacker, and then I get money from it. So, you know, who knows? A dude says in one of the competitors to Discord, Gilded just got shut down after being bought by Roblox. Man, I didn't know about that. I had heard of Gilded. I knew they were owned by Roblox. But I'd only ever even heard of them because a couple of years ago, the Quartering, I know the Quartering, but he was pushing Gilded a lot for some reason. But they were, I thought they were, I was pretty sure they were owned by Roblox even then. I didn't realize they got shut down though. Or Indian, yeah. Well, yeah, there's the Indians too. Although I think they're a little more overt with their scams. The Indians would rather just get your data. They would rather just buy your data and then call you on the phone and go, "Hello, sir. Sir, I want your data. Sir, this is the bank. We want your data. Your bank has overdraft fee." Yeah, I was bummed when that happened. I did like Gilded. Interesting. Yeah, I never used Gilded, so sorry to hear that. But yeah, Discord doesn't really have a lot of very good competitors. I know there's there are some decentralized services, like I think Matrix is one of them. But, you know, it's all very different. Man, I still remember the days when you had to use like Skype for this stuff, and now Skype is dead too. They just replaced it with Microsoft Teams, which sucks. So, let me see here. So we got one more article here from The Guardian, which I thought was a decent article. Yeah, so driver's licenses and passports, as they say, were among the forms of data accessed by a third-party customer service provider. Let's see. I heard about Gilded because of G&G tabletop host Erudai. But once that happened, I was like, oh, well, I'll stick with Discord for now. Yeah. One of the positives of the Quarter Pounder is that he does advertise alternatives instead of just complaining about the platform they're on. Yeah, you know, there are many issues with him. I don't personally hate the guy or anything, but there are many issues with him, and one of these days we are going to react to one of the funniest Kino Casino segments that ever existed about the quartering, because it's just so funny. But yeah, I do appreciate that about him. He does try to advertise alternatives. And the other thing he does do is he does try to help people get unbanned. He has tried, at least historically, to do that. I know for plenty of people who were banned or in some kind of trouble, he was like advertising them. I remember. Now you guys know I'm not a fan of Melanie Mac, but he was, when she started off, he was trying to help her promote her channel. I remember he got a bunch of people on Twitter. He helped get them unbanned. So, you know, I do have to respect that. He does seem to try to help people out a lot. So, you know, I will give him that. Fractured. I remember the days of TeamSpeak and Ventrilo and Xfire Messenger. Yeah, TeamSpeak. Yeah, I remember a lot of that stuff. There's another one, Mumble, I think was another one. Not to be confused with Bumble, the terrible dating app. Alright, so let's see if there's anything else interested here. So the support system is targeted to access user data with a view to extort a financial ransom from Discord. The attack appears to have occurred on September 20th. So keep that date in mind. So first of all, the breach occurred on September 20th. And they told us about this on October 3rd, which is what, at least 2.5 weeks later? Curious, isn't it? Yeah, so Discord began using facial age assurance to check the age of users in the UK and Australia earlier this year. And the company claims that this stuff is deleted directly after ages are confirmed. But I don't believe that. Nobody should believe that. Because that's just how these things work. They never delete anything. So yeah, under the social media ban to come in effect on December 10th, the Australian government has outlined it expects this kind of crap from Discord. So yeah. So yeah, Discord is continuing to be a problem. And what's really interesting here, I found this article. So this is kind of an interesting point. Discord, if you guys aren't aware, Discord is planning an IPO at some point soon. So, you know, here they're just talking about the hack, but... So, Discord is eyeing an IPO this year. So, that means they're planning to go public. And, of course, they're San Francisco headquartered. Because, of course, they are.
Why don't you get some scented candles, nigga? 'Cause you gay!
There's several crypto-focused Discord servers. Jeez. Why the hell is MSN promoting Some Ordinary Gamers? What on earth? But anyway, so this comes at an interesting time because Discord is planning to go public this year. And they've already enlisted the services of these two very horrible companies, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase. The company plans to go public as early as this year. Plans are subject to change. But that is interesting because it puts a real wrench in these plans. Because if Discord is going through these issues, it means that they might not be able to go public and raise the funds that they need. And I don't know necessarily. I don't know necessarily what Discord's revenue is like, if they actually make any money or if they're just burning through investor VC funding. But typically when you do an IPO, that means you're expecting to become profitable, or you're expecting for that money to help you become profitable. But if they're in such a messy spot because of this hack, then that could mean that they may not be able to go public. Because people may not want to buy a stock if they're constantly seeing Discord getting breached. And by the way, this isn't even the first Discord breach, by the way. Let me show you here. 2023 Discord hack. So, here. So, in March 2023, Discord suffered a breach that impacted nearly 200 user accounts. So, yeah. A hacker infiltrated the account of a support agent contracted by one of Discord's third-party service providers. Yeah, exactly, Fractured. Okay, this is very, this is something to be very wary of. So it seems like Discord makes a lot of use of these third-party service providers, and they seem to get breached a lot. So yeah, it's not looking good for Discord. But I mean, you know, they'll keep operating. Now, here's something that I think is interesting, and that dude pointed out earlier. Where was it? So, dude, what you were talking about earlier, this arbitration thing. So I want to point something out here. So I know Louis Rossman made a video on it. We're not going to react to it, partly because you're not going to be able to hear it, but also because covering some of the same stuff here. So back in 2024, they did add forced arbitration to the terms of service. But take a look at this. So, of course, we got the breach on September 20th. That it's not that they don't mention the actual date of the breach. They just mentioned when the press release came out. But here, the thing about the forced arbitration is they reiterated their forced arbitration thing, put into effect September 29th. Yes, that is after the data breach, but they announced this on August 29th, which would have been before the breach, which means that I don't think this forced arbitration thing actually had anything to do with this particular data breach. This is just Discord being generally scummy. So I don't think this arbitration has anything to do with the data breach in particular. But yes, yeah, sometimes coincidences are just fun to point out. Yeah. And I mean, it could just be because of their history of data breaches even. So there are a few different things that it could be related to. But yeah, forced arbitration is a serious problem, and I like that they have this article here on Louis Rossman's Consumer Rights Wiki. I like a fun fact. He originally was planning to call this the Consumer Protection Wiki, and then he realized it would be the CP Wiki, and so he decided, yeah, we're not going to call it that. Yeah, so forced arbitration, basically, the way that forced arbitration works is that a company will throw into their terms of service or, end user license agreement, whatever it is. And Lewis refers to this as EULA roofing, where a company can just throw whatever they want to inside a license agreement or terms of service, knowing that the user will never actually read it because it's too big, and they'll just, click through it. And so they'll just slip something through it the way that, a shady person may slip a roofie into your drink, and then they can legally pound your behind. So what they'll do is they will add this arbitration clause as a roofie to your TOS or license agreement. And what that says, and this is a lot of legal waffle, but they're basically saying that you can't actually sue the company. You have to go through this arbitration thing, and the arbitration service is a service that the company pays for, which means that the company will usually win because they're the ones that are paying the arbitration company. Now, this doesn't always work. A lot of time, usually what'll happen is, you try to sue, the judge will see the arbitration agreement and go, okay, you got to take this arbitration, screw off. But sometimes judges will actually take it, and actually class actions often are able to bypass these forced arbitration agreements. But it is, yeah, as they say here, forced arbitration is designed to revoke the rights of the consumer. So it is a complete disaster, complete mess. Oh yeah, and they're able to pick arbitrators that lean towards the industry rather than the consumer. Arbitration is a serious problem, and Discord is, again, pushing you into the arbitration. They don't have a very good way to get out of it, so the only way to get out of it, especially now, is to use the opt-out. I assume you still have to send the opt-out notice here. Oh, and here you go. If the users choose to delete their accounts, the platform forces them to accept terms in order to access their account. To delete it, which means you have to accept the new terms just to delete your account, which is kind of insane. Part of what they're trying to do here is say, oh, we bungled handling your data. Well, you can't sue us for it. We got to go to arbitration. And if we go to arbitration, that usually means we'll win. Now, the one big thing that can break a company with arbitration, and I think this might have happened to Patreon, or almost happened to Patreon, is if a giant portion of the user base simultaneously tries to use arbitration at once. Because what that does is typically these companies have to pay the arbitration service per case. So, in the long run, usually if there's only one or two cases here and there, then they're not paying a ton. They're just paying for, a small arbitration fee, and then they get to screw up with the user, and, they come out ahead. But if they are paying for, let's say hundreds of thousands of arbitration cases at once, well, suddenly this could financially break the company. So really, in these arbitration situations, that sometimes could be the best way. If you can get a large portion of the user base together, that might be a way to force a company to backpedal on some of this stuff, is to just make them go through all these arbitration cases at once. And I believe that happened with Patreon. This is from a few years ago, but what's happened is, like I said, some people have found a way to flood the arbitration system with arbitration claims, and this is absolutely wrecking the companies. So, okay, and it's been happening to Comcast and AT&T too. So yeah, annual and average of just 30 people took the companies to arbitration. But they found, here we go. This lawyer found more than 1,000 people interested in filing arbitration claims. Here we go. What would happen if the workers started filing tens of thousands of arbitration claims all at once? Many companies can't handle the caseload. And interestingly, this happened to DoorDash. DoorDash is a... Well, all these delivery companies are actually pretty terrible. Now, isn't that interesting? Companies, in a few instances, have refused to pay the fees required to start the arbitration process, hoping that would short-circuit the cases. But, if you do that... Okay, I guess we can't see the rest of this anyway, but... If you do that, then there's a good chance that you can get taken to court anyway. So Patreon banned someone, and then the backers of this guy moved for arbitration, and this is a large group of people filing for arbitration, and under arbitration procedures, Patreon would have to pay the filing fees, which would total millions of dollars. And typically, these companies have to pay the filing fees. They don't get those fees back. So Patreon tried to sue the people using the arbitration exactly as Patreon said they had to. The court threw that out. That means that Patreon basically got screwed because of their terrible arbitration policy. So this mass arbitration is probably the best way to fight back against these terrible arbitration suits. So if you really want to turn off Discord from their obnoxious arbitration setup, what would really fix this is a mass movement to file arbitration claims against Discord. Because then Discord would have to pay all these filing fees. And these fees are things that these companies typically just cannot afford. So this is just kind of an interesting article going into the arbitration. Yeah, it's forced arbitration, and this is specifically talking about Discord. Discord's TOS change is opt-out, it's not even opt-in, which is a real problem. And as this guy says, this approach puts the burden on users to protect their legal rights. So what he's really asking here is, would this legal protection potentially drive away users? Now, typically it won't, because most people just don't notice. They just kind of use the service no matter what. But it does upset people. Again, it's a loss of legal rights. It diminishes the power of the individual. And it does break trust. Like, it means you just don't trust them that much. But here's the big question. Will users choose ethics over convenience? And I think the answer is no. People will keep using Discord because everyone else is using Discord. It's the same problem that we have with YouTube or Twitch. So Discord got hacked. They reinforced the arbitration clause in their terms of service, and you're basically getting screwed by them in multiple ways, as usual. But we all got to keep using Discord, unfortunately.